How's it going, everyone? Welcome to week 4 of the course. So if you haven't had a chance to do so, the first thing you want to do after you watch this intro video is finish up Lab 2, which covers the concepts of scripts and functions in MATLAB. I actually posted it last Friday, so unless you worked over the weekend, you probably haven't had a chance to see that yet. There is a significant amount of lecture in it, probably about an hour's worth of content. Probably will take you, I'm guessing, about 2.5 hours to finish up in total, and it is due this Sunday evening, so probably a good idea to get a good start on that, just in case you have any questions and want to reach out. In addition, we have a discussion board assignment this week that introduces the graph-based programming language known as LabVIEW. If you remember back to the first lecture we had in the course where we went over the course learning objectives, I mentioned that a lot of the learning objectives were somewhat atypical for an intro programming class. One of the learning objectives related to understanding how we can use software in order to automate data acquisition and control of instrumentation. And the language that actually achieves that, at least the language that has the most market share in a commercial environment, is a product known as LabVIEW. And it's actually distributed by a company known as National Instruments out of Austin. For those of you that have had me for engineering classes where we've done some circuit analysis and simulation, you might remember that we've used a circuit analysis program known as Multisim. National Instruments makes that as well, but they're more known for their LabVIEW software. In addition, the first lecture of the week, we're going to go over the concept of data tables within MATLAB and the basics of user interfacing, how you actually take information from the user and how you display information to the user. The homework this week is going to review the Exam 1 content. One of the unfortunate things about these flex courses is in 8 weeks, of course, you need to have a midterm exam right around when it feels like you're just getting started, really. So that will cover the first 4 lectures of the course. I will get that posted after I post lecture 4 tomorrow. I know typically I post lectures on Wednesday and Friday, but I'm actually going to try to get lecture 4 and the exam 1 review out ideally by, I hope, this evening, but by tomorrow at latest. In addition, we'll have a very quick lab this week that just goes over the basics of user interfacing in MATLAB. You'll notice over in the notes column that it'll be a lot shorter than the labs we've had previously up until now. Not a lot of lecture in there, maybe just like 10 to 15 minutes, quick explanation of what I'd like to see. And then all you're going to be turning in for that is a script that I'm just going to test and make sure that it functions free of syntax errors and semantically does what is specified in the lab description. In addition, I'll post exam, it says exam 2 review solutions in video, but that should say exam 1 review solutions. By the time you watch this, I will actually fix that error. I'll try to go through the solutions pretty quickly, but that'll probably be about a 20 to 30 minute lecture as well. I'll probably split it across 2 videos. Usually when I do exam reviews, I like to do that in case you're trying to focus in on one particular problem solutions. And at the end of the week, the last lecture that we post on Friday is going to be on the basics of conditional execution and how you implement that in MATLAB. Those are things like if-else statements, for loops, while loops, and so on. And we kind of want to move towards transitioning of wrapping up MATLAB, maybe not by the end of this week, but by the end of next week. That way we can spend a little time on alternative scripting languages like Python, along with languages that are lower in the stack, like C, which is often covered in this course if you were to take it elsewhere across Alamo colleges. So what we're going to find is a lot of the language and syntax concepts are really generic across all programming languages. It's just going to be the syntax that varies, and particularly when we transition to Python, you'll find that the syntax is quite similar, because in terms of kind of partitioning the languages with respect to a low-level language and a high-level language, if you remember that concept from the beginning of the course, where kind of the differentiation is based upon how much you need to understand about the computer architecture in order to understand how the language works, Python and MATLAB are quite similar. So there's just very subtle differences between them. When we move to C, we'll see that we need to be more cognizant of the actual computer architecture in order to understand the syntax. So for example, when we define a variable in MATLAB, or we'll see in Python as well, you can just pick a syntactically valid variable name like X. You can assign it some value, and the software will determine, the interpreter in this case, how much memory you need to allocate, particularly what kind of data type you're using based upon what you're trying to assign to that variable name. So it is implicitly typed. We'll find that languages like C, we have to explicitly type our variables in order to manually kind of be considerate of memory management. So just some small kind of foreshadowing of some details that are coming. So again, big things that we're having delivered this week, just to go over it. We will have Lab 2 due. It was assigned at the end of last week. We'll have the week 4 discussion board, which will satisfy our learning objective associated with LabVIEW. We'll have the exam 1 review homework. And in addition, we will have an additional lab that just goes over basic user interfacing. And I'll try to make that something you can wrap up in like 45 minutes, because I know we're getting at the point of the semester where everyone wants your time and I don't want to take too much of it. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I will talk to you soon.